Hello and welcome to another Polyrhythms lesson. In this lesson we're going to learn a polyrhythm on guitar. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to play two rhythms. One rhythm will be with our fingers on high strings, and the other rhythm will be with our pick or thumb on a low string. So the polyrhythm ends up sounding like this. We've got these notes on the high strings. On the low strings we're going, and when we combine the two, we've got this groovy polyrhythm. Polyrhythm. In order to play this polyrhythm on guitar, first we have to understand it. So let's break it down using Indian rhythmic solfege. What we want to do is write one of the rhythms down in Indian rhythmic solfege onto a grid, like this. Then we want to take the second rhythm and put parentheses on that grid wherever that second rhythm and the first rhythm line up, like this. So this is what we're going to end up with, but let's talk through the process again. So first of all, which of the two rhythms do we write down on the grid in the first place? Well, you want to use the rhythm that has the smallest rhythmic subdivision in it. So what does that mean? Well, 16th notes are a smaller rhythmic subdivision than eighth notes. Eighth notes are a smaller rhythmic subdivision than a quarter note. So if this is our quarter note at the tempo we're playing, 1 quarter note, each clap, then the eighth note at the tempo we're playing is eighth note, eighth note. These are eighth notes. And when we play this polyrhythm, we're going eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note for the high strings. So that means that the high strings are cleanly divided by eighth notes. The smallest rhythmic subdivision necessary for that rhythm is an eighth note. However, for our low string, we are playing dotted eighth notes. So this is our quarter note, and this is our eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note. Our dotted eighth note will sound like this. Da, 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 da. Because a dotted eighth note is equal to an eighth note plus an extra half of an eighth note. In other words, an eighth note is equal to 2/16, but a dotted eighth note is equal to 3/16. And since there's this leftover fraction of an eighth note, you can't evenly divide a dotted eighth note by eighth notes. You have to divide a dotted eighth note by 16th notes. So a dotted eighth note equals 3/16 notes. So in this case, the smallest subdivider between the two rhythms is the 16th note. And the low rhythm is the one that is using the 16th notes. So we're going to write out the dotted rhythm on our grid. We're going to represent it by writing sets of 3/16 notes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And if we take threes and convert them to Indian rhythmic solfege, we end up with takita, 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 takita. So because the low rhythm has the fastest stuff in it, we're using that to write out our grid. So we end up with takita, takita, representing the low note, and the low note sounds at the beginning of each takita. Takita, 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 takita. So I'm going to make the first ta in each takita blue, just so you can see where we're actually going to play with our low thumb or our pick on the low string. So we're playing wherever it's blue there. Now with our high fingers, we're playing eighth notes. So we're going to put parentheses around each eighth note on the grid. Since each syllable on the grid is equal to 1/16 note, that means eighth notes will occur every 2/16 notes. So we're going to put a parentheses around every other syllable on this grid, just like this. So now what you have here, just to clarify it all, because it's it's a little bit of math, which is a lot for music, I think. But what we have here is a grid of takitas, all of which are equal each ta, ki, or ta is equal to 1/16th note. Then we're going to play a low note at the first ta of each set of takita, which is notated in blue. That's going to be what we play with our low note. And then our high notes are going to occur wherever there's a parentheses, and those parentheses represent the eighth notes. Let's clap it out. So we're going to clap on every parentheses eighth note that you see there, and that will be clapping in effect the high part of our polyrhythm. Then we're going to verbally say ta at the beginning of each takita, and that will represent our low rhythm. And in between, you might want to whisper kita to help you keep time. So it's like ta-kita, 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 ta-kita. And we're going to clap on each parentheses. Ta-kita, ta, 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 ta-kita, ta, 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 ta. Now, emphasize the blue tas more. Ta, 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 ta. Let's do it super slowly now. Ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta, ki, ta, ta. Now we'll add in the claps. Ta, ki, ta, 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 ta. Om, singing low, low, low. Hi, hi, hi. Now let's do it on guitar. Instead of clapping, I'm going to use my fingers on all the parentheses notes. And then instead of saying ta, I'm going to use my pick. And you can find the transcription for this part in the description below the video. So it's going to sound like this. Ta, ki, ta, 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 ki, ta, 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 And that's our polyrhythm.